President Trump has weighed in on the Elon Musk controversy, even defends Elon Musk. Let's get into it. My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to the program on. Okay, President Trump yesterday did one of his very, very impromptu press conferences on board Air Force One. And, of course, all they want to talk about is Elon Musk. Let's go through this.
And a good way to save money would be to cancel some of Musk's contracts. How seriously are you considering that?
Well, we'll take a look at everything. I look at everything. He's got a lot of money. He gets a lot of subsidy. So we'll take a look at that. Only if it's fair. Only if it's fair for him and for the country, I would certainly think about it, yeah, but it has to be fair.
Yeah.
Mr. President, would you consider reopening investigations into his companies? There are a bunch of investigations.
I didn't know that they had any, but they had them. I would just let them speak for themselves. I had no idea. Excuse me. I have no idea whether or not they had investigations.
Okay. Now notice how they're trying to get some revenge lawfare thing going on with Trump towards Elon Musk. President Trump, and they ask him more questions. We're going to go through the whole thing. President Trump is handling the press and handling conflicts with individuals so differently than he did in the first term, right? I mean, he's not getting bogged down in these petty little fights with this person or that person because there's a bigger picture he has to accomplish. And, this whole conflict with Elon Musk a couple days ago, it seemed like the biggest story and the biggest deal in the world, right? Doesn't seem like such a big deal today, does it?
What's your view on Elon Musk as of today? I mean, have you heard from him at all? As your
Honestly,
team?
I've been so busy working on China, working on Russia, working on Iran, working on so many. I'm not thinking about Elon. I just wish him well.
On the China talks.
On Mr. Musk's contracts, do you feel like the U.S. can survive without them? Obviously, you contribute a lot when it comes to defense and space, and that relationship has been important for quite some time.
The U.S. can survive without almost anybody.
And do you
Except me.
Did you have any concerns about his drug use when he was working for you?
I don't want to comment on his drug use. I don't know. I don't know what his status is. I read an article in the New York Times. I thought it sounded very unfair to me.
You said earlier today that Mr. Musk had a problem. What did you mean by that? And did you misjudge him by bringing?
I don't want to talk about problems. I think that I think the United States had problems, and if you look at the numbers today, the numbers were unbelievable. The numbers were incredible. The numbers that came up today, the stock market went way up. The country's doing really well. Almost, I think, in a very short period of time, you're going to be saying doing better than it's ever done before. We have hundreds of plants coming in, a lot of jobs are being created. That's what happened this morning. You saw the jobs. And the nice part, they're not government jobs. They're jobs of people coming in and doing other things, including the leisure, hotel and leisures. Good stuff. A lot of good things are happening with our country. We're taking in billions of dollars of tariff money. The money is pouring in. And it hasn't even started yet, really, relatively. We're going to have a very successful country very soon and a very strong bill.
Mr. President, you gave Elon Musk, when he left the White House, a key, symbolically, to the White House, to the administration at large. I think that's what. Would you like him to give that back?
No, I don't take things back. No,
What about the Tesla?
I gave him a key. He tried very hard.
Okay, do you want to take the key back? Did you hear the woman in the back? What about the Tesla? What about the Tesla?
All right. The Tesla, I haven't thought about it.
On his work then, as of this point, for the minute.
Now, by the way, I want to go back here. The girl in the back, she said, what about the Tesla? He said, the Tesla, I haven't thought about it. That was reported yesterday that he was going to sell the Tesla. And have you noticed during this Elon scandal, there's been so much fake news out there. I don't know where these sources are. These are reporters just making crap up because it was reported in many places yesterday that he was going to sell the Tesla. Now he says he hasn't thought about it. Same thing about this scheduled phone call we heard about on Thursday night. That wasn't true either.
That's what would you like him to give that back?
No, I don't take things back. No,
What about the Tesla?
I gave him a key. He tried very hard. The Tesla, I haven't thought about it.
On his work then, as of this point, for the administration, how do you think his Doge did at the end of the day with the savings that?
I think it helped us a lot. I think it helped our thinking, and it's not finished at all. We've basically taken it over, and we're doing a job. Many of those people remain with us, and they're going to remain with us. They're very good. It's terrific. We saved, hundreds of billions of dollars. It's terrific, and it's going further. I mean, I'd give you the answer actually at the end of 2 years, because a lot of it is out into the future. But it was a big saving and a good mindset.
And what are you going to do about the Tesla? Are you going to keep it, or are you going to...
I haven't thought about it.
Do you have any plans to
I
contact?
hope he does well with Tesla.
Do you have any plans to speak with Mr. Musk? This was one of your closest advisors for
No,
months.
I don't have any plans. Somebody made a mistake. A lot of reporters have been calling me. I didn't call any reporter. A lot of reporters, they ask me the same question. No, I don't. I'm not even thinking about that.
There apparently were these efforts, this is what I read, to bring you and Elon back together. So those efforts where are they?
No, there are efforts. I mean, I've been asked about it, but I'm not really interested in that. I'm really interested in the country and solving problems, including war problems in very far away lands. A lot of people being killed. You know, when I left, we had no problem. We didn't have wars. We defeated ISIS 100%. Iran was broke. There was no Hamas problem. There was no Hezbollah problem. Israel wouldn't have happened, in other words. Russia, Ukraine wouldn't have happened. We had no inflation. And by the way, we have no inflation now. And if we had a good Fed chairman, you would lower rates. And you know what? If inflation happened in a year from now or 2 years, let him raise rates.
Okay. So there you go. And, President Trump, he was really very polite and nice when it comes to Elon. Don't you think? I think he was. He's just moving on. And, in the first term, he would get involved in these very long debates with people, sometimes the press, sometimes people out there like, Megyn Kelly or Rosie O'Donnell or someone. And he doesn't do that anymore. And it's a whole new Trump. And the media, they haven't really been able to deal with that yet. I don't know if they don't realize it yet because they have Trump derangement syndrome so hardcore, but they're just not capable of adapting to the way President Trump is now. I'm sitting here in the studio with one of my pillows. Well, actually, this my pillow is my wife's my pillow. Okay, this is the one my wife slept on last night, and we were taking the sheets and everything off the bed to do laundry, and we washed the my pillows because the my pillows are completely washable and dryable. And this one actually is my wife's favorite of the my pillows. This is the premium my pillow, which is covered with Giza cotton, that 100% Giza cotton, which is it's an upscale my pillow, and it has the piping around the side. And the width of the piping actually tells you how much fill there is inside. And this one is firm. And the patented fill that Mike Lindell invented is absolutely amazing. And what that patented fill does is it stops your head and neck from turning at night. Once you're in position and you go to sleep, you stay in that position. With other pillows, you toss and turn at night. Every time you do that, even when you don't remember it, you wake up out of REM sleep. And with the My Pillow's patented fill, your head and neck fit in that pillow perfectly, and you're not tossing and turning. That's why I get 4 or 5 hours sleep a night, usually 4, but if I'm lucky, 5, and I'm so well rested and ready to go every morning for a very long day because those 4 or 5 hours of sleep I get are well-rested sleep. And if you get the sleep you should get, the 7 or 8 hours, oh man, you're going to be lighting the world up on fire. And if you think you've gotten a good night's sleep, you've not had a true good night's sleep until you've slept with a My Pillow. Now, the My Pillow, the premium pillow with the Giza cotton that I'm holding in my arms right now, the queen size is just $19.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout, and the regular price on that is $69.98. So it's a huge discount. You can also get it in the king size, which is $24.98. That's usually $79.98. So great deals with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Don't forget to use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. And, of course, you can use our promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout on all the specials at MyPillow.com. But I love these My Pillows. I have all the My Pillow products you hear me talk about. The premium My Pillow that's made with the Giza cotton on the outside. This will change your life. Order yours today. Promo code Kane, Kane, at MyPillow.com. Now, Steve Bannon did a podcast interview yesterday, and he broke down quite a bit about some of the things that have been happening. And, the way it's looking, I wouldn't be surprised if Steve Bannon makes his way back into the White House. It seems that he's talking to people in the White House, and if you notice, his tone on the War Room has been more pro towards some of the things Trump has been doing than it has been in the last couple of months, right? So Bannon is most definitely angling on getting back into the White House in some kind of role. Now, I don't know if he wants to walk away from the War Room completely or if he wants to be a full-time senior advisor back in the White House, but he's definitely, Bannon, angling to get back in the White House. But he has a lot of inside info on what happened with Elon Musk, some things that have been out there in the rumor world, but they are now confirmed through Steve Bannon. Listen to this.
We're hammering it, but there is a process. You just can't come in and get everything you want and do it entirely your way with not thinking about people at all. And what Elon did, and I think the president tried to make sure that he had every opportunity. We all want to cut federal spending. His promise and commitment to the president of cutting $1 trillion in federal spending was something he stuck to the end until we found out it was all a fraud. I mean, this is what caused the physical altercation you had in the West Wing right outside the Oval Office between the Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, who's a good friend of mine and a very even-handed guy. He and Elon got into a physical altercation.
Okay, now this is something we've heard about, but this is the first time it's been confirmed as a fact. So that did happen. Oh, my goodness.
And that's because, number one, people felt that day that Elon might have been on drugs. And number two, Scott called him a fraud to his face and said, look, we're in the middle of a terrible budget fight. You committed to $2 trillion, then you committed to $1 trillion. Now you're talking about $160 billion. We don't see where you got anything. And obviously that got under Elon's skin. So I think the president went out of his way to basically give him every opportunity to perform, and it turned out just to be a fiasco. And he turned on the president viciously, and he turned on the president personally.
Yeah. Now this is pretty interesting because it seems, part of the problems we're having with the big beautiful bill, it seems like a lot of it has to do with Elon and Doge not delivering what they had been promising, right? That they had put together this bill with this expectation of all these cuts that haven't happened, and it's causing some issues.
Viciously, and he turned on the president personally.
On the Scott Bessent point, you say that the black eye that Elon had in the Oval Office was actually caused by Bessent punching him? Is that the information you have?
No. That happened. The Scott Bessent physical altercation happened weeks before. That was one of the controversies about the IRS. But this is one of the reasons I think the president said, hey, I think the China briefing where he tried to get a top secret briefing on the China war plan, given the fact that he's in business with the CCP. And many people think that he might be an agent of influence of the CCP since he's always promoting the Chinese Communist Party's party line. The Bessent thing happened a couple weeks after that. But look, the black eye, the president said yesterday, he offered the guy some makeup before they had that final little ceremony, and he turned it down. And the president, brought it up a couple of times. It was odd. I have no idea where it came from. I will tell you, I think it looks like the receiving end of a left hook. I'm not sure his little boy, 3-year-old boy, was able to deliver that, but that I'm sure that will come up in one of the drug investigations.
Oh,
you're not claiming it as a personal victory, but at least it looks like a victory for one kind of understanding of MAGA. The more big government, the more worker.
Okay, there you go. And that was on the Unheard podcast. If you want to check that out,
hammering it. But
I'd not heard of them before, Unheard, until I saw Bannon on there, and it's a pretty good interview. So things are going perfectly so far as Bannon is concerned because he has wanted Elon out for a long time, okay? Well, he wanted him out from day one, and I know a lot of other people have wanted him out. We've heard a couple of troubling things, right? Here from Bannon, a physical fight with a cabinet secretary, that's unacceptable. And there was a story on Thursday and Friday that he had yelled at Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, who runs the whole joint for the president. So that, he's acting in ways that are irrational. So these tweets that we're hearing about, that are and reading and discussing, that seem so irrational. It seems that Elon is irrational a lot of the time, maybe even most of the time. He's not a stable man, an unstable genius. And I'm glad that here we are, a couple days after all this has happened, and it just doesn't seem like such a big deal anymore, does it? It really doesn't. This whole Elon business, it seemed important. It seemed like, okay, this is something that's got to be dealt with, but does it really? It seems like not that big of a deal. It really doesn't. It seemed like a big deal when this first happened, but one awesome thing about this, you want to look at a positive when something happens. I mean, it's not good that this happened. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but what I'm telling you is it's not a scandal or a problem at the level that we thought it would be now that we're a couple days out. But I am very happy to see that MAGA is united, MAGA strong. Everyone came out on the side of the president as they should, and there were no divisions between Elon and the president so far as the supporters out there. So I know the Democrats are out there trying to make friends with Elon. They were saying he was a Nazi and firebombing his dealerships just a couple months ago, and now they think he was right, and they want to bring him back into the fold. They've been blaming him for the death of 300,000 from USAID cuts. And now they want him back in the fold. He's a good guy now. I guess he's a good Nazi now, according to the left. But MAGA stayed strong and loyal to President Trump, and that's an awesome thing. And it was a test. This really was a test to see who the real MAGA, the fake MAGA, the weak MAGA are, and it's MAGA united. No doubt about that. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
This Father's Day, give a gift that speaks from the heart. The Flower Story from author Sean Feeney is a tribute to the unconditional love between a father and his daughter. Inspired by a 2-year-old's bedtime request, The Flower Story follows the journey of a flower given by a father to his little girl, growing with her through the years. It's a story that blossoms with meaning, capturing those quiet, powerful moments only a dad and daughter truly understand. The Flower Story is perfect for bedtime, story time, or any time. It also includes a special section where dads can add their own personal message, making each book a one-of-a-kind keepsake. Whether she's 2 or 22, let her know your love grows forever. Celebrate Father's Day with The Flower Story from author Sean Feeney. It's a gift she'll never forget. Order your copy right now on the author's website, SeanFeeneyBooks.square.site. That's SeanFeeny. SeanFeeneyBooks.square.site. If you're in business, you know that first impressions are crucial. Your business deserves a website that stands out. With nearly 20 years of experience, ProWever is your trusted partner for professional custom design websites that are built to elevate your brand. ProWever doesn't use generic templates, just fully responsive, user-friendly custom websites that are tailored to you and the needs of your business. And the best part, ProWever delivers in just 3 to 5 days. That's lightning speed compared to competitors who take weeks. ProWever handles everything for you. Logo design to e-commerce solutions, SEO, and social media setup. They'll help you launch, grow, and dominate online, all at an affordable price. Don't wait. Get your custom website right now. Visit ProWever.com or call them directly toll-free 877-216-0852. 877-216-0852. ProWever.com. Affordable, dependable, fast. Did you know that every year, 95% of criminal cases never see a jury? They're decided behind closed doors through plea bargains. But what happens when those negotiations go wrong? Author Philip Mosier takes you inside the seismic 2012 Supreme Court rulings, Missouri versus Fry and Lafler versus Cooper, that changed everything in the book Plea Bargains on Trial. Available on Amazon. For the first time, the court recognized the right to effective counsel during plea bargaining, exposing the hidden pressure points that shape justice in America today. Filled with sharp legal insight, real-world examples, as well as powerful historical context, Plea Bargains on Trial pulls back the curtain on a system built on speed, but often short on fairness. If you're drawn to the complexities of law, justice, and the fight for true representation, Plea Bargains on Trial is a book you can't afford to miss. Order your copy right now on Amazon and see the system in a whole new light. Plea Bargains on Trial from author Philip Mosier on Amazon. Are you over 50 and want to feel stronger, look better, and live an active life like you did when you were younger? Then add Fit After 50 on Highway to Your Health to your podcast playlist. Fit After 50 gives you real-world advice from experts and everyday people just like you. Whether it's fitness, nutrition, or disease prevention, Fit After 50 host Keith and Rob bring you tips, strategies, and the motivation you need to take charge of your health. On Fit After 50, there's no gimmicks, no shortcuts, just science-backed actionable strategies and real talk to help you stay fit, feel good, and thrive at any age. Listen to Fit After 50 on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and iHeartRadio. Subscribe today and take your first step towards a healthier, stronger, and more energized life.
The Democrat Party stands for absolutely nothing, right? Not these days. And in the past, when they've stood for things, it's never been good, right? Jim Crow, slavery, Tuskegee experiments. There's nothing the Democrats have ever stood for that's been good, positive, or really supported by the American people. But now, with all this wokeness that went on the last 4 years, they've alienated everyone. And look at this. Dems look to create a new think tank to get away from woke identity politics. Well, if you get away from woke identity politics, what do they got, right? The Democrats. Let's go through this article. This is in the Daily Caller. Some Democrats are looking to create a new think tank in an effort to urge the Democratic Party to promote more popular political positions. This also reported in Politico. During a private meeting with several Democratic donors and leaders in April, Adam Gentleson, who had previously served as chief of staff to John Fetterman and a top aide to Harry Reid. Harry Reid, what a beaut. Pitched an idea to establish a new think tank called Searchlight. This is according to Politico. The think tank's goal would be to encourage the Democratic Party to refocus on positions that are viewed as more widely popular among Americans ahead of the 2028 presidential election, according to 5 anonymous sources to Politico. Now, Politico is very left-wing, so these sources are solid with this garbage. What could the Democrats possibly come up with that would be popular? And we're going to go through some things that they've been doing over the past couple days that don't fit into trying to be popular. Seth London, who serves as an advisor to major Dem donors, is working on an effort, according to Politico. The report comes as the Democratic Party is strategizing on how best to reconnect with voters that they lost in the 2024 election cycle. I don't think they lost the voters in the 2024 election cycle. I think they started losing them when Trump came down the escalator, and when they shot Trump and Butler, the never-Trumpers, that's when they really lost a lot of people. You got to remember, everything President Trump is doing each and every day, this is why they shot him in Butler, to stop him from doing it. And that's why he has more than earned our unquestioning support for everything he's doing. But they just don't get it. They spent 4 years, really a decade, right? Because Trump came down the escalator 10 years ago this month. And they've spent 10 years arresting him, shooting him, trying to shoot him again, ridiculous investigations, depositions, impeachments. They were doing all of these things against a completely innocent man. And they were doing it to try to damage him so he couldn't be elected or reelected. And when they shot him in Butler is when people woke up. So to what was going on, that it was all real. Those of us that were on the Trump train from the beginning, we always knew. But millions of Americans did not know that all these things were true. They thought there was a lot of conspiracy things going on, like when Obama ordered the spying on Trump Tower during the first campaign, as an example. And nothing they're addressing is going to change people's minds on any of that. People just don't trust Democrats. Back to this article in the Daily Caller. Voters do not break down among the perceived ideological lines that a lot of Democrats are drawn into by interest groups, one anonymous source told Politico. The machinations of the party force people into boxes, and if this is a vehicle to get new ideas out there outside those lanes, that automatically limit the breadth of voters you're be able to reach. A lot of gobbledygook thinking, which tells you they have no idea. You know what this is? This is a money grab. This is a think tank that's being set up by a bunch of crooks that aren't getting USAID money to find another way to get money. And what are they're spending $20 million on this? Another anonymous Democrat donor who heard Jentelson's pitch, told Politico that the effort is part of an attempt to encourage the Democrat Party to have a moderate voice and move away from woke identity politics. Well, look at what they've been doing. This is Mayor Bass out in L.A. Now, her city was just burning down because of wokeism. They had incompetent people running the fire department, the water department, every department. And there was a group of leftists, different leftists, who attacked an ICE facility over at the end of the week and over the weekend. And here's Karen Bass, Angelinos. So can't they come up with an English word? You know, like in Florida, we call ourselves Floridians. We don't use Spanish, although Florida comes from the Spanish. We've Americanized it. So here you've got Democrat Mayor Karen Bass, whose city burned down because of wokeism, and she's out there doing what all the Democrats do, right? Not defending Americans, not standing up to support Americans, but standing up to support people that are from other countries that are here illegally. And there was a really disturbing article I read in the Populous Times. Listen to this. Birthright citizenship, which they say was enabled by activist judges, is threatening to alter the fabric of the nation. Listen to this. And all these stories I discuss, I post them on my X, Brian Craig Show on X. If you don't follow me there, please do. Brian Craig Show on X. On Brian Craig Show on X, all of my show prep is right there. Okay, listen to this. This is in the Populous Times. A new study by the Kaiser Family Foundation found that nearly a fifth, 17%, of school-going children, or 9 million kids, are anchor babies whose parents are illegal immigrants or temporary residents. However, only 80% of children attend traditional schools, according to EdChoice, pushing the number even higher. Listen to this. ChildStats.gov estimates there are about 50 million school-going children, of whom 80%, or 40 million, attended public schools, with 9 million of the 40 million public school-attending students being anchor babies. The percentage of children with illegal alien parents rises to about 22.5%, which is nearly a quarter of all students in public schools in the United States are anchor babies, the children of illegals. This is insanity. Insanity. You know, liberals, they talk about school overcrowding and all this stuff. Well, maybe because a quarter of the people there shouldn't even be in the public schools. And, you know, this is crazy. Those of us that are parents, when you enroll your child into kindergarten for the first time, or you move into a new neighborhood and you go and register your kid to public school there, you have to produce at least two utility bills, right? Electric bill, water bill, to prove that you are a resident in the district of that school. So you're not trying to send your kid to a school you like better across town. But these illegals, they can just enroll their kids anywhere. So about a quarter of the students in public school are anchor babies. That's insane. In addition, the figure does not account for the small number of children born to illegal immigrants who do not attend schools, or those enrolled in private schools. Yeah, can you imagine? There's anchor babies in private schools too. It's insane. With each school-going child spending about $16,280 per year in education, according to 2020 figures, the country spends about $145.6 billion annually educating children born to illegal immigrants. See, this is the kind of thing that has cost the Democrats their support. This is insanity. I mean, you work hard, I work hard, we pay our taxes for this, for people that shouldn't even be here, sending their kids who shouldn't even be here to schools on our dime. Blue states such as New York spend as much as $35,000 per student annually, making overall spending even higher. California spends about $19,000, Illinois $24,000 per student a year. Extended for 7 years, which is half of the anchor baby's K-12 education lifetime, the figure far exceeds $1 trillion. If we spent that amount on improving, it goes into what we could do with that money, but that's insane. So about a quarter of students, they got this think tank. They don't need a think tank. They just need to watch me, but I don't want to be helping Democrats. So Democrats, don't take any advice that you hear here, okay? Listen to those idiots in the think tank that have this scam going to get the $20 million, okay? But the Democrats, everything they're doing like this, Karen Bass, this is what's costing them. Here in South Florida, Broward County, and I bring this up because it involves the traitor Governor Ron DeSantis, who betrayed Trump and betrayed MAGA. After the Parkland shooting, he removed from office the Democrat sheriff at the time, and then he appointed a new sheriff who has gone on since to be reelected. Ron DeSantis appointed a Democrat. I don't know why he did that, but he appointed a Democrat. He's been reelected, and look at what this guy's doing. Broward County, by the way, in Florida, is where the city of Fort Lauderdale is located, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And it's the county just north of Miami, Dade County, which they border each other. Listen to this. Broward Sheriff, appointed by Ron DeSantis, says the sheriff's office won't be involved in any ICE raids. Broward Sheriff Gregory Toney, don't trust anyone with two first names unless their name is Brian Craig, said Thursday fighting crime is his number one mission in the country, not hunting down immigrants who may be in the country illegally. Well, if fighting crime is his number one mission, isn't deporting the illegals, isn't that crime that he should be policing and helping ICE? How much crime in his county is done by illegals? The sheriff goes on, he says, we have other priorities in this community that we're focused on, and immigration is not one of them. You know, what? He's a Democrat. It's a Democrat county, so, this is Democrats, again, helping people that should not even be in the country, others, not Americans. We have other priorities in this community that we're focused on, and immigration is not one of them. Not to dismiss the importance of that, said Sheriff Toney. I don't care what country you're from. If you commit a crime in this country or commit a crime in this county, I'm coming for you, unless you're an illegal, and then you can stay here as a criminal. The comments were made at a county budget hearing this week. See, a lot of Democrats like the illegals because they make money off of them, right? They get paid for them in school. They get paid for the Medicaid. There's all kinds of money that is made. They get paid putting their parents in jail, these kids that we were talking about that are filling up our schools, the anchor babies. There's a lot of money made by illegal immigration, by corrupt local officials. And the Democrats, they're not going to change on that because there's too much money to be made on them ripping people off. But there's nothing they're going to be able to do to fix it. I was telling Steve Kane this morning that come August, it'll be 3 years since Dr. Philip Appleton rid me of pain for the first time. It was in my knee. And my knee had been hurting me since I was 20, 21 years old. So it had been 30 years of suffering. And sometimes my knee would act up. It was my right knee. It would act up so much, I just wanted to sit down and go to sleep, because the pain was so bad. And Dr. Appleton treated me, and I know it was 3 years ago because I remember a salesman from the radio station took me to meet Dr. Appleton. And I told Dr. Appleton about my knee. I got that free consultation that you can take advantage of too, the free consultation with Dr. Appleton. And he treated me with a laser treatment on my knee, which is 100% painless. There's no shots, no injections, no downtime. In fact, not only is it completely painless, you don't even feel it when it's happening. So that was on Thursday. The next day I woke up on Friday and my knee was already improving. I went for a second treatment on Saturday. First treatment Thursday, second treatment on Saturday, and then Monday the pain was gone. And 3 years coming in August, the pain has not returned because the laser treatment doesn't just rid you of pain, it repairs the damage that's causing the pain. It's amazing. It works. And he's rid me of pain 6 times after that for a total of 7, Dr. Appleton. We have listeners that travel literally from all over the United States to see Dr. Appleton. He is incredible. The laser treatment works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. Arthritis, which, by the way, he rid me of arthritis in my hand, bursitis, work and sports injuries, strains and sprains, repetitive motion injuries, post-surgical swelling, neck and back injuries, knee conditions, tinnitus, sciatica, spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia, plantar fasciitis, which I understand is incredibly painful, rotary tears, herniated disc, acute pain, chronic pain, and any type of pain you've ever heard of. Because I keep meeting listeners all the time with new pains I never heard of, and they're now living pain-free thanks to Dr. Appleton. Give him a call. Now, remember, appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. Give him a call and say bye-bye to your pain. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. The MAGA movement has taken over the Republican Party. They put a lot of pressure on Trump to try to start a third party because they knew that would be a failure, okay? And he says no. He said, no, I'm not going to start a third party. I'm going to take back the Republican Party. And the MAGA movement is now the Republican Party, right? There's some still holdouts out there. There's some Bush Republicans and neocons and stuff, but it's a MAGA party, and it's going to stay that way, and it's going to stay that way forever. Now, this is George Clooney. He was talking to Anderson Cooper about the future of MAGA. Here's George Clooney's a smile talker. I hate smile talkers. Someone who says something, I'll rewind it, then you'll notice it if you didn't already. He says something, and then he takes a brief pause and smiles. A lot of people do this, and they're smiling because they think they've said something brilliant, and they're acknowledging their own brilliance. It's a real annoying habit that sociopaths and narcissists like George Clooney have. Mm. Oh, yeah. Right, George. Mm-hmm. Sounds like it. Mm. Yeah. Well, we're still going to have Trump, okay? When Trump's no longer in office, and or he's finally leaving, and he's he's endorsing his successor. President Trump will endorse a successor who will go on to win. There will not be a Republican nominee that gets that nomination without the endorsement of Trump for the rest of his life. And then the Trump family, right? Don Jr., Eric, Lara, all of them. And it'll go down even to Barron and Kai Trump, okay? The Trump family are a political dynasty that we are very blessed to have. And you're not going to get that Republican nomination without the Trump endorsement. This went on with the Kennedys for a long time, all the way through Obama. Remember Hillary, that was supposed to be her nomination in 2008, and the Kennedys came out and endorsed Obama. That was the end of it for Hillary. But no, the Democrats, they just don't get it. They're done, and they have no hope to come back. This story came out this week, which is really backs up everything that Michael Savage has said for years and years and years. Liberalism is a mental disorder. Listen to this from Fox. Yeah. So this was a new poll about the mental health of people by political affiliation. You look at it, only 20% of liberals are in excellent mental health. 51% of conservatives are in excellent mental health. 45% of liberals are in a state of poor mental health, and only 19% of conservatives are suffering from some mental health problems. So, yeah, most liberals are mental patients, and that is nice to see confirmed by a scientific study, isn't it? I'm Brian Craig. We'll be right back. Now, if you're in the state of Florida and you need roof repair or replacement, you want to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. He's a good MAGA guy. He'll take good care of you. He'll never sell you a roof you do not need, meaning that if you need just a simple repair, he'll do it. He covers the entire state of Florida, the East Coast, the West Coast, and everywhere in between. And did you know that Tom Laporta was voted one of the best general contractors and best roofers in all of South Florida? That is absolutely amazing. He's honest, he's knowledgeable, he's reliable, and he does incredible work. I've seen his work, not just on Steve Kane's house, but many of our listeners have told me about the great work that Tom Laporta has done for every type of structure. We actually had a listener that had a church roof. They call Tom Laporta about. Now remember, because Tom Laporta isn't just a roofer, he's also a general contractor. Florida law allows him to deal directly with your insurance company for the cost of the repair or the replacement of your roof. He can handle the job of any size, and he can also handle any type of roofing job. Residential roofing and repair, commercial roofs, schools, municipal buildings, office buildings, emergency repairs. After rainstorms and hurricanes, we have a lot of listeners, they call Tom Laporta. He comes right out. He takes care of it. Give him a call. Now, this number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone, okay? 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. You can either call or text him. That's his direct cell phone number. Or go to his website, LaportaRoofing.com.
What if the coma didn't silence you, but awakened something far more powerful? In the new book, The Shadow Talk, The Beginning, from author Michael Orlowski, available on Amazon, Detective John Donald wakes up after 15 months in darkness. But he didn't sleep through it. He lived other lives, saw through other eyes, and those memories won't fade. Now, back in a broken world and a broken body, John hears a voice that once guided him through the shadows, calling him again. This isn't just a second chance at life. It's a mission for something deeper, something that crosses time, identity, and justice itself. Mysterious and richly layered, The Shadow Talk is the start of a powerful new journey and a must-read pick your book club will actually talk about. Available now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. Awaken the truth and order your copy of The Shadow Talk, The Beginning, from author Michael Orlowski on Amazon. Are you bringing a new dog into your life? Whether it's a cute puppy, a rescue, or an adult dog who needs some fine-tuning, start your journey the right way with the new book from author and expert trainer Mara Caldwell, How to Train a Dog with the Happy Dog Blueprint, available on Amazon. With 18 years of hands-on experience, author Mara Caldwell blends behavioral science with real-world, family-friendly training techniques that actually work. From step-by-step puppy training to rescue dog successes, house prep tips, and engaging activities, this book has it all. You'll learn how to solve barking, digging, and housebreaking issues, how to involve your kids in a fun, safe training, balance dog care with work from home life, understand your dog's body language, and build lasting trust. And that's just the beginning. Using only positive reinforcement, you'll create a happy, well-behaved dog and a bond that lasts a lifetime. Order your copy of How to Train a Dog with a Happy Dog Blueprint from author and expert trainer Mara Caldwell on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Train smart, live happy. Order your copy today. What would you do if the person you love vanished without a trace and all signs led to a place that should have stayed buried? From best-selling author Chris Witt comes the chilling new mystery thriller that you will want to add to your must-read list, The Dark Locket. Emily Winters is missing. Psychiatrist Harold Morgan's only clue, a haunted sanatorium that should have been condemned, and a strange locket that seems to know more than it should. The Dark Locket is a tale of obsession, memory, and a love tested by supernatural forces. Because when the past is alive and the walls themselves remember, you'll have to ask, is it really madness or the truth screaming to be heard? This book makes a great addition to your book club. The Dark Locket from best-selling author Chris Witt, where the past whispers and the walls remember. Available now on Amazon and Kindle, hardcover, paperback, and audiobook, as well as everywhere else books are sold. Order your copy today.
J.D. Vance went on Theo Von's podcast, and the famous Elon tweet about Trump and Epstein just dropped during the interview, and Theo Von asks J.D. Vance about it live, and we get live reaction. This is phenomenal. Listen to this.
Elon just hit the airwaves today. Bring it up, dude.
Oh, man.
The fucking shit missile is in the cannon.
Okay. Wow.
Elon Musk, and you may have heard of him.
I've heard of him.
Time to drop the really big bomb, right? And I thought this was going to be on Iran.
So it's funny. I haven't even seen.
Right?
I haven't even seen this one.
But he goes, real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. This is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day. Nice signature from a South African DJT.
Man. Well, here's my basic reaction to like all this stuff is look. First of all, absolutely not. Donald Trump didn't do anything wrong with Jeffrey Epstein. Like, the guy is, whatever the Democrats and the media says about him, that's totally BS. Here's my basic read on it. First of all, I'm the vice president to President Trump. My loyalties are always going to be with the president. Mm-hmm. And I think that Elon, he's an incredible entrepreneur. He's actually done, I think Doge was really good. This sort of effort to root out waste, fraud, and abuse in our country was really good. And look, man, I'm always going to be loyal to the president, and I hope that eventually Elon kind of comes back into the fold. Maybe that's not possible now because he's gone so nuclear.
Well, his feelings.
But I hope it is.
Feels like his feelings are hurt. Why though? Do you know why?
Yeah, I mean, so look, I think number one, Elon's new to politics, right? So his businesses are being attacked nonstop. They're literally like firebombing some of his cars. And by the way, we're looking into a lot of this stuff. I mean, some of that stuff we're looking into is an act of terrorism at the Department of Justice, because I think it is an act of terrorism. So I think part of it is this guy got into politics and has suffered a lot for it. But I mean, and I get the frustration there, and I get the frustration that, I mean, look, Congress, you got this spending bill. But the main purpose of the bill is not actually spending or cutting spending, though it does cut a lot of spending. Mm-hmm. The main purpose of the bill is to prevent the biggest tax increase. But I understand, like, it's a good bill. It's not a perfect bill. Like the process in D.C., if you're a business leader, you probably get frustrated with that process because it's more, bureaucratic. It's more slow moving. Yeah. So I think there's just some frustrations there. But I really, man, I think it's a huge mistake for him to go after the president like that. And I think that if he and the president are in some blood feud, most importantly, it's going to be bad for the country. But I don't think it's going to be good for Elon either.
Yeah, that's for sure. What J.D. Vance has done here is really amazing. Yes, he did. And it's not just J.D., it's the entire Trump administration here. We are dealing with one of the most scandalous accusations ever made against a sitting president because, Elon Musk, of course, everything he said is complete. It needs no. President Trump does not need any defense from any of us. We all know it's not true. But he was a close personal friend of the president, the first bud. So, people say things about presidents all the time, but for someone this close to say it, it's and also the richest man in the world. It's a big deal, and and during a scandal like this, because the Trump administration has handled it the way they had, total transparency in real time, like we're seeing here. The president has talked about it multiple times, and he's done it in a way that's, I think, very rational, not going after and feeding into it. It's taken something that could have become a major, major scandal that was never ending for months and months and months, and totally neutralized it, hasn't it? I mean, it's now another thing they're doing too with all this transparency is they have changed the expectation and raised the bar a lot that the American people have on knowing what's going on in our White Houses. So future presidents, if they do like Biden, lie and shut the doors and close the curtains and don't let us know what's going on, people aren't going to put up with that anymore. People want to know it all. And it's very interesting who's coming out and defending the president. Look at this. Here's a blast from the past that you would not be putting on your list of people of defending President Trump. This is the scumbag lawyer, Michael Cohen.
Is there a world in which these two transactional guys, Musk and Trump, figure out that it's better not to be fighting and come back together, or you think this
No, I think once Elon went so low in terms of talking about Epstein, and if we can stay on that topic for a quick second, look, I have extensive knowledge of Trump, being by his side for almost a decade and a half.
Right.
Let me dispel all of that notion. While he knew Jeffrey Epstein, and while, yes, he may be in the files in the form of Trump being in the black book, so were hundreds and hundreds of very name-worthy, influential individuals. I have zero knowledge of any relationship between Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, and I would have seen it over the course of the
literally, because your prosecution was all about how much you knew, and your testimony to Congress was all about how much you knew.
I'm telling you, it's nonsense. It's to the best of my knowledge and everything that I know, it's not true. In fact, there was one case that came up. It was a Jane Doe versus Donald Trump that brought this topic into question. And what ultimately I discovered is the Jane Doe, and there was an address in the Bronx. I sent an investigator to that address. I wanted to literally follow and find out who this Jane Doe was. There's not even a building there. It was a vacant lot. And so I reached out to the lawyers. That was the first and only case that I had any knowledge of all of these allegations. So that doesn't mean that the big, beautiful bill, which I call the big, beautiful disaster, is not legitimate and it's not going to affect Americans. Doesn't mean that the other issues, that policy issues that...
Well, so, you know, one of his biggest enemies in the world, Michael Cohen, who, of course, is responsible for all the Stormy Daniels business, he's even saying it's 100% not true. And that one allegation, Jane Doe, didn't even exist. I mean, that when Trump has Michael Cohen clearing him on something like that, Cohen will say anything negative about Trump. That's amazing. So sorry, guys. Sorry, you liberals out there. It's not true. Oh, man. Now, by the way, if you're listening to the podcast on one of the podcast platforms, if you watch the Brian Craig Show podcast on my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show, you don't just get the audio version, you also get the full video version, which means you get to see me, you get to see the articles that I'm sharing, you get to see the videos that I'm sharing as well. So if you want the full visual experience of the podcast, go to my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show. And the Brian Craig Show podcast is on all podcast platforms. If there's a podcast platform, we're on it. Just search for The Brian Craig Show. Now, if you'd like to support the program, become a Patreon supporter. If you're a Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. And since I have upgraded the podcast to have a video version of the Brian Craig Show podcast, the audio version is still on all the podcast platforms, guys. But on YouTube and YouTube Music, I upload the video version. And Patreon supporters, not only do you have access exclusively as a Patreon supporter to commercial-free editions of the Brian Craig Show podcast, you get a commercial-free video version of it, completely commercial-free if you're a Patreon supporter. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And if you're one of our top Patreon supporters, you get a live on-air shout-out on each episode. Your name is in the description of the podcast episodes, and on YouTube and YouTube Music, your name as a top Patreon supporter appears on the screen while I go through the names like I'm about to do. So the following names are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, David, Laura, Rob, and SFjr. These are our top Patreon supporters. If you want your name on the screen and in the description, or you want to get those commercial-free editions of the podcast, go into the description of this episode. On whatever platform you're on, go to my Patreon page and become a Patreon supporter. I'm Brian Craig. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time. Remember, The Brian Craig Show is where MAGA comes to talk.